Hey, hi friends. Very good morning. So sorry for being late. I was just stuck in a call. Okay, so today we are going to see several different topics. So starting with the first one, changing the database name. So even though in real time we don't get this kind of request to change the database name, very frequently. So maybe once in a while you may get a request to do that. So in case if we get a request, how we are going to proceed with the database name change. So we have two methods for doing this. So first is the by recreating the control file, and the second one is with the help of a utility called new ID. But in both the cases, we might require a downtime. So we need to inform our application team, client, everyone well in advance that we require a downtime for this. And if they ask like how much downtime it might require, frankly to say it requires only 10 or 15 minutes, but we can take a gracious period, like sorry, a grace period, something like 30 minutes to 45 minutes, something like that. So let us go ahead and see how we will be able to change the database name. So comparatively, method 2, that is using this DB new ID, is a far more faster and better way to do that. So let me show you this one, how we can go ahead and do this. So I'm just connecting to the server. So if you are using DB new ID, first you need to shut down the database, then you need to place it in mount state. Then we are using a command called nid target equals to slash. So which means we want to connect to the database as is DBA, and then DB name is equals to whatever the new name that you want to give. So you need to provide that new name over here. And after that, once again, we need to shut down and place it in no mount state. And in our SP file or P file, we need to change this parameter DB name. Then finally, we are going to open the database with reset logs. So the thing over here is every database will have a database identifier. So if we are changing the database name with this procedure, then even the database ID will change. So if you want the database ID to remain same, and you want to change only the database name, then you need to provide this command. So same command, only thing is last we are saying set name is equals to yes. So which means we are asking Oracle to change only the name, but don't concentrate on changing the database ID. So let us go ahead and do this. First I'm shutting down the database. Then we place it in mount state. Then we can execute this command. So here, as I said, it depends on like what name that you want to give. You can provide it over here. So so our earlier database name is ProdDB. So let me give some other name over here. So then basically what this command is going to do, it is going to write or update your new database name to all the control files as well as the data files, because those are the files where the database name will be there. So first of all, we need to update those files. So that's the reason this particular NID command is going to update them. So it is just asking for the confirmation whether you want to proceed or not. I'm just giving as yes. Then you can see there it is first changing the database name in all the three control files, and then it started writing the new database name into all the data files. So here you are getting a message that it got completed successfully, and also it is giving some things that modify the parameter file and generate a new password file before restarting. Obviously that is what our next step is. So we need to update our parameter db underscore name. So it seems the database is in shutdown state, so this step is not required because already it is down. So directly we can say startup no mount, then changing the database name parameter, and this parameter is a static parameter, so we cannot change it on the fly. So we need to use scope is equals to sp file. So because we have modified the parameter, once again I am restarting the database. Okay, so it got mounted. So the final command, alter database open, reset logs. So that is how we can be able to change the database name. Now changing the instance name is pretty much easy because instance name nowhere it will be written except in SP file. So we can just run these commands, alter system set instance underscore name equals to the new name that you want to give, and scope is equals to SP file. So then shut down the database. Because your instance name is referred in your SP file, you can modify your SP file name. Just you need to rename that with the MB command. And of course, you need to update in your bash profile, and finally, you can start up the database. So that's how we can be able to do that. So any questions before we move on? So I'm just cross verifying whether the database name has been changed or not. Yes, you can see whatever the new name that we have given, it was there. Okay, so let's talk about the next concept, that is flashback. So in flashback we have different sections, or I can say different scenarios. So basically flashback is, by the name itself it is, you can understand with the help of this utility flashback you will be able to go ahead and take your database to previous timestamp. So which means it is almost equals to your point in time recovery, but the only difference is as per Oracle. So sorry, as per Oracle flashback will work faster than the normal regular point in time recovery feature. So basically, let's say currently your database is there. So sorry, currently your database is there at this position, and you want to move back your database to a previous time, like yesterday, sometime in the morning. So in such cases, this flashback feature will be helpful for us. Now the thing over here is why such kind of requirement will come first of all. So the requirement is because of the reason that there could be some major disturbance happen to the data. So for example, let's say there was some important rows that got deleted from some table in the production by mistakenly. Now usually if we have a Arman backup, or if we have a export backup, then there is a chance that you will be able to do the recovery with the help of that backup. But let's say unfortunately the backup got failed and you don't have a successful backup in order to go ahead and restore that particular table or that particular rows, whatever we have. So in such kind of scenarios, even though it is an impact to the other data whatever we have, so still client will be deciding whether to go ahead and move back the database to previous time or not. So in such kind of scenarios, you will be having a requirement to move the database to a previous time. So for this flashback, we need to go ahead and enable the flashback first of all. So simply we cannot, all of a sudden if there is a requirement, we cannot do that. Just like how you will be enabling the archive log mode, in the same way, you need to enable the flashback option. And once you enable this flashback option, just like archive logs, flashback logs will keep on generating in the fast recovery area. And unfortunately, Oracle has not provided any alternative to change the location of these flashback logs. So compulsory, they will be there only in fast recovery area. Just like archive logs, if you want to change the location also, we cannot do that. And when you enable this flashback option, as I said, this flashback logs will be generated. And for this, there is a new background process introduced, that is RVWR, which we call it as flashback writer or recovery writer. So this background process is the one which is responsible in generating the flashback logs. Now, what exactly these flashback logs contains, and what and all we can do can we go ahead and flashback our database to whatever the change that we want? There are some restrictions for that. So first, what these flashback logs contains, whatever the changes that you do to a block in every data file, that block image or that copy of the block will be stored in these flashback logs. So if 1000 blocks were modified, then all those 1000 blocks copies will be available in your flashback logs. So whenever you are going to do a flashback to previous time, then Oracle simply will replace the block, the old block which is there in the flashback logs, with the new block what it is there in the existing data file. So it is just replacing the new block with the old block. So that is what a flashback is going to do internally to the database. And it talks about one more important point, that redo logs either on disk or tape must be available for the entire time period spanned by the flashback logs, which means if the flashback log retention is for 1 week, then you must ensure that archive logs also are there for the last 1 week. So means it is not only that flashback logs, if you have flashback logs, the things will work out. No, along with the flashback logs, you need to have archive logs as well. So Oracle will make use of both flashback logs and archive logs in order to do the recovery to the previous time. And as I said, there are limitations to the flashback. So you cannot do a flashback of everything. For example, let's say I dropped a important table space, and after some time I just say flashback to so and so time, my table space will not come back. So why? Because as I said, it is only dealing with the blocks. So when you're dropping wantedly or doing something at the physical or logical structure level, that will not be recorded in the flashback logs. So that is where here it is mentioned, the limitations of the flashback database. It cannot be used to repair the media failures. As I said, accidental deletion of some data files or your hard disk got failed. So for such kind of situations, this will not work. And also already if you perform an incomplete recovery, after that you cannot use flashback. So either you need to use only one option, either you need to use flashback option or you need to use incomplete recovery, but you cannot use both at the same time or one after another. And we have an option for some of the statements we can use no logging, so that redo entries will not be generated. So if at all you are using such kind of commands during the, I mean, when you enable the flashback in the database, it may lead to the block corruption. Why? Because if the redo entry is not generated, it is going to give an impact to the database. So this is what we have in the flashback. And in flashback itself, we have something called a restore point. So we have this option, or we have this concept of restore point in Windows as well, but I'm not sure how many of you are aware of that. So in Windows operating system, we do have that option. So what is this restore point is just like a benchmark or a bookmark for specific time. So let's say I have done some changes to my database, and I feel that this is the correct set of database that I am having. So in such case, I will be creating a restore point for this particular time and date. Now, when you create this restore point for this time and date, and let's say after 2-3 hours, some some modifications I found, and I want to roll back my database to previous time, or I want to come back to the restore point what I have created. So then simply I can be able to execute a command in order to go ahead and do the restore, I mean, to move the database back to the restore point. So, and in restore points, we have two options. One is a normal restore point, in which your control file will record the restore point name and the particular SCN, and they will age out automatically. Like after some time, the whatever the restore point information that control file is maintaining, so that information will be deleted automatically. But when it comes to another option, that is guaranteed restore point, anyway the name itself is telling that you are guaranteeing the restore point, which means your control file will not clear that information explicitly. So that information will be there in the control file forever, until unless you manually drop that particular guaranteed restore point. Because you are saying guaranteed restore point, flashback logs also will generate very huge. So you need to maintain very much free space in your fast recovery area. So in what kind of scenarios we use this restore points in real time? So let's say application will be every application will have some releases in the sense the version upgrades. So for example, if you take Android or iOS operating systems, so they will be having version upgrades. So recently we have iOS upgrade from 10 to 11. So let's say if such kind of critical upgrades are being planned from the application team, so what we do is, let's say before starting off the upgrade, we will create one guaranteed restore point. So during the process of upgrade, if something goes wrong and some data gets modified, and your upgrade failed, and your application team decided that they want to go ahead and they want to go ahead and go back to the previous point. They cancel that upgrade because it got failed due to some reason. So as some data is modified, they want to roll back those changes. So in such cases, they can ask the DBA team to move back to the guaranteed restore point. So let's say you processed for 1 hour. After that, you observe that there is a failure. So when you move back the database to the guaranteed restore point, whatever the changes happened in this 1 hour will be rolled back. So this is the advantage that we have with the restore points. In case if any such kind of situation is there, it will help you to roll back the things very immediately. And as I said, this there is a retention time specified for this flashback. I mean these restore points. So we have a parameter for that db flashback retention target. So that will tell you how much time, like in minutes, it will tell you how much time that it is going to store the information. So here if you see 1440 minutes, so this if we calculate, then I believe you will get 1 day. So you will get 24 hours. So when you convert that into hours format, so if I create any normal restore point, and as I said, control file will have that information. So control file will remove that information from its inventory after 24 hours. But if it is a guaranteed restore point, as I said, control file will never throw that information out. So this flashback has been introduced in 10G itself, but you may not see many of the databases using this flashback option. And the advantage that we have is you can enable this flashback or disable the flashback anytime. You don't require any downtime for that. So when the database is up and running, then itself you can enable it or disable it. So that is the reason you will see no database will be enabled all the time. Suppose today I am doing the activity, so before that I will be enabling the flashback and I will create the restore points, and once my activity is completed I will be disabling the flashback. So that unlike archive mode, this will not be enabled all the time. So in 11G Oracle has gone a bit higher level that you can enable flashback at table space level also. So instead of entire database, so for that we are going to use a command like this. And if you want to enable flashback at database level, you can just run this command. And again, if you want to turn off, you can just run again this command. So when you enable the flashback, or irrespective of enabling of a flashback, so if you want to recover a table, you drop some table and you want to recover that particular table data, then we have this option. A small example was given here. So here basically we are creating one table, and what we are just experimenting whether the flashback table is working or not. So let us go ahead and do this. So we are creating a table, then we are enabling the row movement, then we are making a note of that SCN number, then we are inserting one row into the table, and of course we are committing. Then once again we are executing the SCN number. So now the thing is, you can because you have now the SCN number, so with that if you do simply that flashback your table to so and so SCN. So at this particular SCN there are no rows in my table, but at this particular SCN there are rows in my table. So if I flashback my table to that particular SCN, oh okay, fine. I did this in this user. Actually, we need to do it in a normal user. So yeah. So this is one more important point that you need to remember. Flashback is not supported for the user sys. So when it is not supported for user sys, it is also mean that flashback option is not suitable for system and sysocs tablespace. So that is also important to remember. So normally what happens is when you do that change, when you do that SCN change, then here you can see when it is selecting count from the table, it is showing 0. Why? Because at that particular SCN there are no rows in the table. Again, when you do a flashback to the latest SCN, that is this 715340, because by that time I have inserted one row and committed. Here you can see the the count of the rows is being displayed there. So like this, we might use for a flashback table, but not that much important. So as a DBA, for us important one is this flashback database. So here basically what we do is we'll be executing this command when our application team asks us. We'll be executing this command flashback database to so and so time. Then your entire database will be moved back to that particular time. And because this is almost equals to incomplete recovery, you would be opening the database with reset logs option. And how we can create the restore points. So this is how. This is a normal restore point. So as I said, uh, restore points will be created whenever there are application releases happening or before we do major change to the database and all. So for example, here if you see uh, for application, let's say version 2 is releasing. As of now, right now it is in version 1, they are upgrading to version 2. So what we do is we will be creating a restore point by the name. This is the restore point name before v2 release. So if you want to create a guarantee restore point, just you will be adding this particular clause. And if you want to see all the restore point information which is already created in the database, either in Harman you can use this command list restore point all, or we have a view called $restore point. So from that also we'll be able to get the info. And if you want to move back your database to that particular restore point, then you need to shut down the database and place it in mount state. And finally you need to say flashback database to that particular restore point and then restore point name. So then your database will be moved back to that particular type. So I'm not just showing this because once we do that again we might need to go ahead and take backup and all those things. But this is how the commands that we do. So is that clear for everyone? Any questions? Okay, so next we have a concept called recycle bin which is introduced in 10G. So it is having the similar concept of what say a recycle bin do in Windows operating system. So if you delete some file, it will go and sit in recycle bin, and you will have an option to come back and restore that particular file. So similarly, since 10G, when you drop a table, it will not directly delete from the database. Rather, it will come and sit in the recycle bin, and you will be having an option to go ahead and restore that particular table at any point of time. So this especially helps the people when mistakenly they have dropped the table. Like instead of dropping the table in uh, development environment, let's say developer by default, I mean by mistakenly drop the table in production. So in such cases, this is going to help us. And when you drop a table and when it is moved to recycle bin, it will be having a different name altogether. So let me show you that. So I connected as a normal user. So when you drop a table and then if you just issue this command show recycle bin, it is going to show the details what are all the objects there in the recycle bin. As I said, once the table is moved to recycle bin, it will be given with a different name starting with bin dollar. So, but it will still give you it will still display the original name, that is T1, then recycle bin. What is the recycle bin name? Then object type, and of course the drop time. At what time you have dropped this. So even that information will be given to you. And if you want to simply get back this table, then you need to run this command flashback table, your original table name, to before drop. Then again your table will be back, and now if you say show recycle bin, it is nothing because we already restored that table. So like this, if you drop n number of tables, all those tables will go and sit in recycle bin. Now the point here is from where the space has been allocated to this recycle bin. So the space to the recycle bin will be allocated in the same table space. Which means suppose I have one table residing in a particular table space. 10% of the table space free space will be allocated to your recycle bin. So let's say this is the table space. So 10% of the table space size will be allocated to recycle bin. So let's say my table space size is 10 GB. So out of that 1 GB will be allocated to your recycle bin. So basically what Oracle is doing is I have a table T1 here, and if you drop it, simply it will move the table from this place to this place. Within the same table space, it will move the table from one position to another position. And then it will rename the table with that bin dollar XX some name. And once you ask for a restore, once you say that I want to bring back the table, again it will move the table from this position to this position. Means within the same table, within the same table space, the table is moving in between. Now, when I am dropping more and more tables, obviously this 1 GB whatever is allocated will be full. So let's say I dropped some 10 tables and this 1 GB is full. Now I am dropping 11th table. Then what happens? When you are dropping 11th table, because there is no space in the recycle bin, Oracle will not ask you for any confirmation or something. It will simply remove the tables, the old tables from the recycle bin. That means, as I said, in recycle bin, I have tables from T1 to T10. Now I am dropping T11, but to accommodate T11, I don't have space in the recycle bin. So then it will remove this T1 table permanently from the recycle bin. So which means if you drop a table and if the table is in recycle bin, there is no guarantee that your table will be there in the recycle bin forever. So recycle bin will not work forever or will not store the table permanently. It will store only till it get the space issue. So when it get space issue, as I said in this example, it will remove the previous table, then it will accommodate the new table. Similarly, you are dropping T12 table and space is not there. Then it will remove this T2 table, then it will accommodate T12 table. So just like LRU algorithm. So the previous tables will be dropped permanently and then it will accommodate the space for the new ones. So that is the reason. Uh, I mean, this happened with one scenario in my experience. So one application developer dropped the table 5 days before, and after 5 days he came back and he said that he is unable to do the restore. And when we verified whatever the table that he dropped, that is not available in the recycle bin. So then he is under the impression that recycle bin will store the data permanently or will store the tables permanently. But as I said, no, recycle bin will not store the table permanently. It will just store till the space accommodation is there. If any space issue occurs, it will remove the old tables. So that is very important point to remember. And also, just like flashback, even recycle bin concept is not applicable to sys user, which means you cannot use that for system, then temp and undo table spaces. So that's about recycle bin. So any questions from anyone?
And does it archive the things in that?
Sorry.
And does it archive if we drop it because it will not be permanently stored? So does it archives automatically?
Archives in the sense, you mean to say like whether that info will be there in the archive logs or what exactly?
Yes, yes.
Uh,
Yes. The information will be stored in the archive logs or anything like that. If we drop it, anything.
it would be there, but we will not be able to check that. It might be there, like once the table is removed permanently, maybe one redo entry is generated, but we don't know that information.
Mhm.
We can't really check until unless there will be no messages that it is going to drop the tables permanently.
Okay.
Okay, so next we have very all the high-end topics. So we'll see these concepts starting from tomorrow. So we'll be starting off with cloning, then followed by patching, then upgrades. So in upgrade, we'll be seeing both from 11G to 12C, as well as from 12C release 1 to 12C release 2. So all such things. And if you have not practiced the manual database creation, I recommend to practice once before tomorrow. Why? Because cloning will be performing, I mean, initial steps of cloning is exactly same as manual database creation. So that's the reason. Just even if you practice also, just once again do the practice for today, so that tomorrow when we look at this cloning concept, it will be easy. So we have a new option from 11G. We call it as active cloning. So it is like I will explain. Like earlier, we used it to take the backup and we use it to clone it. But from 11G, we are directly doing the cloning from the live database. So what are all the pros and cons and all that? So we'll be discussing about them. So any questions from anyone before we wind up?
One question, Pawan, apart from this today's class regarding the Arman catalog.
Yeah, yeah, please.
I am not able to find that username and password to connect at the rate with DB name. So how to connect with that? How to find out that username and password to Arman catalog? Do I need to create a new user and connect with that username password, or in the real time how do I connect that? Because I'm doing a gap analysis on that.
Okay. So actually, like when comes to real time, usually to take the Arman backup, there will be some shell scripts and all. So within that shell script, somewhere that information will be mentioned, like what is the username and the password. So that will be hard coded. So then only it can pick up that particular information. So or otherwise, we might need to go ahead and create a new user and do the things. But really, I don't think that would be there if the backups are already happening and if you are sure that catalog is being used, then somewhere in the
Mhm.
shell scripts it will be there.
Okay, I need to find out that shell script now. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, fine. And one more question regarding this data card. Like when I have ASM and SGA memory target, which is targeted, which has been set the values in the primary. I'm doing further gap analysis on the near standby, that is the secondary standby. So that whatever the targets has been set to the SGA, it will be the same in the near standby, or it will be different. It shows the integer value as 0 to me.
Okay, so it depends on how it is configured. So usually
Mhm.
we maintain the same values in the primary and the standby as well. Like if you are using suppose memory target in primary, obviously in standby also you will use the same parameter. So that's the ideal recommendation what it is. But maybe sometimes due to some reasons we might go ahead and disable that memory target, and instead of that we might use SGA target and PGA target separately. But that's a very rare case, I mean to say.
Or it is. But if the value is there mentioned in the primary as 1 GB and is it standby also it's mentioned as integer 0, then its gap analysis is says as it's a good recommendation. Is it good to go ahead, or I need to set the value to standby also as 1 GB there?
It is better to set the standby also as 1 GB because, as I
Uh,
said, both should have the same values.
oh, okay, fine. Thank you so much.
No problem. Okay, so then let's meet tomorrow at the same time and we'll continue with this. So thanks everyone for joining. Have a nice day.